Welcome back. 9:14 now. Caught on camera, a passenger becoming aggressive on a flight from Miami to Newark. The pilots had to land in Orlando. So the woman is accused of biting the badge of a flight attendant's shoulder. Orlando police met the flight on the tarmac. That passenger was removed. She was taken to the hospital to be evaluated. As of right now, she is not facing charges. We'll keep you posted. Travel expert, former flight attendant Bobby Laurie is joining us this morning to talk about it. Always great to have you, Bobby. How are you?
Always great to be here. Thank you so much. I'm well. How about you?
Very good, thanks. So we've heard so many of these stories over the year. And in this case, you know, obviously the crew felt it necessary to land the aircraft, to get this woman off the plane. I imagine there's a lot that goes into those decisions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, once the flight attendants finally get the situation under control, then it's a conversation with the flight deck to see, you know, just how intense the situation is and whether or not the flight attendants feel comfortable with continuing on and having to deal with that passenger the rest of their journey. But if they decide that, hey, the situation is just too intense, it's too bad right now, let's put the plane on the ground, then the captain has to coordinate with air traffic control, find the closest airport to land at. And in this case, it happened to be Orlando.
Wow. We're just looking at the video, and you can see we just showed the video of where the woman is actually, you can see her biting off the flight attendant's badge off his shoulder. It's crazy video. But Bobby, how do you train for something like this? I mean, I imagine they throw you guys into all kinds of scenarios in training, but some of this stuff is just bizarre.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, taking a look at that video, it looked like she actually bit off the epaulets on the flight attendant's uniform. So it looks like his badge came off first, and then she ripped the fabric off of the top. It's that little flap that actually goes from one side of his shoulder to the other, which is usually where you'll see the stripes on someone's uniform. So that's what it looks like she actually bit off. But yeah, in flight attendant training, you go through lots of self-defense classes and lots of situations where that you might encounter. So you at least have a little bit of a sensory or like a hands-on physical memory of how to handle some of these situations. And you know, one of the things that they actually teach you is to use the passengers around you as a resource as well. One of the things that flight attendants are doing during boarding is trying to pick out a few ABPs, is what the airline industry calls them, able-bodied persons. And generally that's for bigger emergency situations where you have to make an emergency landing or something like that, where you need help opening the overwing exits or getting people off the airplane. But since 2021, when we saw these unruly passenger situations rise, now we're also looking at ABPs to help us, you know, contain some of these unruly passengers in these situations.
Bobby, what do you think is behind sort of the spike in these incidents? And maybe they've been happening longer than we realize, and just everybody has a cell phone now, so we see them. But it just seems like we have seen so many more over the last few years.
Yeah, you know, back in 2021 is where we saw these unruly passenger situations actually spike. It was right in the height of COVID. And then some new laws came onto the books because before COVID, if you had someone removed from an airplane for being unruly, it was kind of a gray area on what really happened to them or what the next step would be, especially from the law enforcement standpoint. Generally, they would receive a warning and a slap on the wrist. But because of that spike, now you are looking at lifetime bans from the airline. You are looking at charges being pressed by the government for disobeying crew member instructions and also interfering with a crew member's duties. But we are seeing the spike. We don't, you know, sometimes we're finding out later it was mental health episodes. A lot of situations we're seeing also being alcohol related. Just a few days ago, we had a man decide to, let's say, relieve himself in the middle of the cabin on a flight, on an American Airlines flight. That was an alcohol related incident that we later learned, according to some reports. So it's all just about, you know, putting people in a pressurized tube for a few hours and hoping that everyone can just get along.
Yeah, gosh, I tell you what, you guys all deserve a raise. Travel expert, former flight attendant Bobby Laurie, thank you so much for shedding some light on that for us and our viewers this morning.
Of course, thank you.
Stay safe. All right,